Hi Dee. Hi everyone. This is the next week's installment of an investigation where last week I left Dee running in the woods all by herself. Now this week I'm going to not play Dee and see what happens. Kyle, I'm coming in! I already found out what happens when I don't do that. We don't really want to play that game. We don't like that game. So this is the woods. If you watched all the other videos, it's the woods that are behind my house. We are looking for Kyle, which is the tall people. I call him Kyle because no one else does. And if you haven't watched the video, my woods are from last September. I found a bent over pine tree, and since then I've been finding tons and tons of trees, limbs, sticks, just leaned against other trees. Like this one here. There's this one in between these two. This one leaned behind them. Little sticks interwoven. Now I call this the nursery because they're all relatively small sticks, and they were very small, maybe a foot long when they first started. Now they're like 8 feet long, and it's fall. You just saw a leaf fall in front of me. Kyle! This particular one right here, I don't remember that being there. Don't remember that being there. But there is a lot of them. Now they're up to, from being a foot long, now they're up to being some pretty good sized sticks. That one's only about 4 feet long, but there are some that are 8 and 10 feet long. Now, some other things that trees that I've noticed, like all these trees right here are alive. That one doesn't have any roots, and it's pushed over or leaned up inside of there. I have noticed that at nighttime, because I can't see very far and I'm limited, that I do tend to notice things like that small structure right there. I do tend to notice things more often when I'm shining the light on it at night. There's a broken tree. Could be wind. I know there's a lot of things. Oh, this could all be wind. Yeah. Walk out in your woods and tell me how many little sticks are leaned into crotches in your woods. Is it literally almost every big tree out here? Now you can see that this one has grown around that one, so that was probably natural. But there's fork down, leaned, big side up, leaned into that tree. Well, and not only to be bested, except for there's another one right there. And that one is fork side up, with another one leaned up against that one. I'm just saying there's a ton of them out here. And I know every time I come out here I point out a ton of them, but I love that stuff. And I know Dee does. And anybody that can see that stuff in the woods realizes that something put them there. Now I want to know what that something is. And like Dee, this flashlight is for my convenience. This is what I want you to see, because hopefully if I see one, it'll be close enough for this to see. This one makes me feel a little safer. I can see further than the phone. And I know I swing you around a lot because I'm not looking at the phone to shoot this video. I'm trying just to hold the phone in one spot. Not do this like I tend to do a lot. So I try to hold, now I'm trying to hold the phone up in the air a little more. It's not as easy as you might think. You stop thinking about it when you start hearing noises and stuff and you start doing this, because I want light for me to walk. So I point this light down, down closer to my feet, which points you at the ground. Kyle! Watch your ears, everyone. Kyle! Whoop! Yeah. Out through the trees, right there, see that bright? We got about a half a moon, beautiful moon out. It's not really cold, but I would not want to have this temperature if I was on Naked and Afraid or something like that. It's just good jacket weather. Have to listen back right there. I'm pretty sure, because this is the swamp out here, that I just heard a slapping splash. Like somebody dropped a big heavy rock in open water out there somewhere. Kyle! Whoop whoop! Excuse me, got a little bit of a humbug today. 2 weeks ago was the video where they howled at me at the from the other side of the swamp, and I want to say that was dogmen, but without seeing it, there's no proof, of course. We're not supposed to have wolves in New York, especially my part of New York. But that was definitely not coyotes that sparked the coyotes later on to howl. This was a very large, what we call coy dogs here. They're dogs, wild dogs mixed with coyotes. And it was making a pseudo wolf howl. But since I'm out here looking for Bigfoot, and I've found tracks that are not Bigfoot and not people tracks, they're narrow and they have claws, I'm going to say that that could have been a dog man. Or a bunch of dog men, because there were, I'm hearing movement. A bunch of dog men, because I heard a bunch of them howl before they got the coyotes to go ahead and do their thing. And that, whoop, I'm getting the chills. The last time I got chills like this, they howled. They're already gone, the chills are. It's not from being cold. It's got to be, I can't see my breath unless I really try to make it. So it's got to be 55, 60. Now, out in the distance, it's hard to tell in my videos, But you see this stupid tack right here? See that tack right there? You see another one out there? See that? There's another tack. People have marked, because they don't realize this trail's here, they've marked it for bow hunting or gun hunting or whatever they've marked this trail for. And when I get out around the corner through the pines, where I normally investigate, next to the bent pine tree that I found last September. But with these stupid little things, it's very difficult to look down through where you can see a long ways, because you can't tell if it's one of those tacks or an actual eye unless it moves. And the tall people, when you catch them in the act and you point your light at them, they tend to freeze unless you stare at them for too long, and then another one will throw something at you or make a big noise. To distract you, and you'll look away, and then that one will duck or something, and then you can't find them anymore. But they're wily little coyotes. Especially the young ones. If you stare at where a young one is for too long, it only takes a few seconds, one of the older ones will definitely distract you in a hurry. There's only a few trees back here that I think would hold an 800-pound creature easy enough. I tend to look up in them when I walk by. The other ones, I would imagine you could climb up in there, but you would definitely, if it was an adult one, you would definitely see it swaying if they got up in it. That's new. Want to see something new? That, sitting on the ground, all wound like that, is busted off right there. But this other one that's hanging, oops, wrong angle. This other one right here that's just hanging here is stuffed up into that same spot. And I can't say that that would not just happen if it fell. But if you look right here, that's not stabbed into the ground. It's just set there. And it's been set there recently because there's nothing else there. Yeah, all that stuff was put up in there. That's really cool. Hey Kyle, I saw another one. I saw it. It's beautiful. And it's way bigger, by the way. This particular one here is probably one of the biggest one that's in this part of the woods. In here, a few steps, you'll notice there's no small sticks lean against the bottom of the trees. I don't know why they did not do it right here in the hemlocks, where these bigger hemlocks are. Right out there, you can see one leaned on the little trees. But in here, where the bigger hemlocks are, there's none of that little stuff. There's one bigger one that they just made. But in here, in the bigger hemlocks, for some reason, they don't come in here. Or the babies are not allowed to come in here. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a buffer zone between where the babies are allowed to play and the swamp. I'm not positive. I can only guess. Kyle! Whoop whoop! Now, other than yelling Kyle, I try to mimic a little bit of what Dee does in her whoops. There's some bigger stuff. Definitely much bigger now. These and this one. That one right there. That's probably 14, 15 feet long and much bigger around. So bigger juveniles have been in here. What is that leaning against right there? There's a pretty good size one. Against that tree and against that tree to hold it. See how they kind of like wove it, used its natural shape, but wove it around between two trees to hold it up like that? So that right there in no way, and there's one leaning right next to the front of it right there. See that one right there? So there's no way this one just fell. Like that. Through all of that canopy right there and fell like this. So that's been leaned. That's much bigger than what we've been seeing through here. Kyle! Whoa, hey, look at that one. See that one? And then it's smashed against that tree. It goes way up there, right up against the tree. If you think that can happen naturally over and over and over again, you don't come in the woods very often. So since the last time I was out here, last Friday, when I set up Dee's video and left him out here for an hour, they have done some much bigger work. Started off a foot long, and now that stuff is, don't get mad, I'm not actually on my path. My path is over here. I'm back on the path, Kyle. I'm sorry, I just keep pointing at stuff because it's easier to see at night because my eyes don't have to see so much stuff. Kyle! Whoop, whoop! There's the very slightest of breezes. But I'm hearing shifting, not shuffling, but shifting up in these trees. I guess, I don't know if you can see the top of that tree moving. Maybe there's more breeze up on top of the tree than there is on the bottom down here in the woods where I can feel it, but like, you see that stupid tack? And there's another one out in there, like right dead center, right there. That's on that little tack's on another little tree, so I don't know where they're trying to think they're going to get to or whatever, but they have tacks all over the place in no good way, as far as I'm concerned. No good way to follow those tacks through the wood. Oh boy, I just heard something bigger than I've heard so far. Kyle, are you out here? Are you on this side? Kyle, I heard you. I'll stay on the path, but I'll come closer. That was pretty loud. A little bit startling since I wasn't expecting it. But right through there, right, another one of those stupid little things, but right through there is the Jeep path, the old Jeep path that I've talked about a few times. About to be out on it. Right out there is where I set D up. We'll walk there and see if they took the apples or anything that I left them. Another one of these big trees. Not feeling alone today. Usually I'm like, very calmly walking back here. You can tell I'm a little bit shifting this light around more than I usually do. I can see at least 2 apples down there. It's kind of weird because there's another one of those tacks way down there in the distance. Don't know if you can notice it when I on off down there, but I'm just going to go a little ways down this Jeep trail, okay? Okay, Kyle? Nope, they're not. Alright, this right here is where I had the tripod set up looking in that direction. Last weekend, anybody who watched it more than 10 seconds will realize that this is what you were looking at because it was static. And I'm sorry, it's super boring to just watch the same thing happen for minutes and minutes and minutes on end. I left them a deer horn right there. They did not take that. On that little stick sticking out of the ground right there, there was peanut butter. There is 1 apple. 1 apple left here, and I had these things together like this with 3 apples on it. I hear movement again. That sounded like footsteps on the leaves and branches being pushed aside. Kyle, you can take the last apple. If deers were sitting here, if deer were eating at these apples, they don't grab an apple in their teeth and walk away. Squirrels could potentially have taken them, but they would have taken all of them. There's that one still there. And I had the cookies and the marshmallows with and without peanut butter right there. And all of them seem to be gone. Here's the clacky rocks. Kyle, you didn't take your rocks. This is what they're for. I'll set you down for a second. You'll still be able to hear, though. This is what they're for, Kyle. They seem to like rocks from Lake Ontario, the rounded rocks like this one. Brought some pretty rocks, big enough for them to bash a deer on the head and smack together and make a lot of noise, but because in this particular part, the rocks are all about the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bit bigger, but mostly smaller. So if you dig with your hands into this sandy loam that's underneath here, you don't find very big rocks. So I brought them some bigger ones. They did not take them. The screen last week was set up right over there in that square area right there. Far enough away from the camera where you could hear D in the background, but if they made noise, you would hear them on the phone without being overdone by D. So I tried to think that one through a little bit. There's another of the bigger trees. And there's a big dead tree right there, leaned up through those branches. I'm going to zoom this flashlight in a little bit. Pan you across here. I'm seeing nothing at the moment. But I'm hearing shuffling and stick breaks out in that direction. Kyle! Whoop! Whoop whoop! After they howled, I was standing. I saw those leaves moving right there, but I am feeling a breeze on my face, so that's acceptable, I guess. What was I saying? After the howl, I panned across this way about this speed. I got to somewhere around in there, and then I panned back. I personally didn't see anything, but when I did that, I saw over here at the end of it, I saw eye shine, where I know out in that swamp there are no tacks right there. Right there is the only tack. And for some reason I can't see the thing. Anyway, there's a is that a tack? I see a tack right there. Kyle! I'm loath to walk off the trail. I do not like walking off the trail, not since they messed with my head last time. I'm just coming to see if that's a tack, the side of a tack on that tree. What am I seeing that's shiny? Oh, spider's eyes. Look at that spider. I saw his eyes from way far away. Wow. Wood spider. So there are no tacks on this side of the trees right here. And I swung and I saw eye shine, but only for a second at the end of the swing like that. And so I played that video back at 0.25 speed, and I found at least 5, maybe 6 sets of eyes watching me, and it looked like it looked like one of them had its arm in front of a tree that it was standing in front of, or next to. So I circled all those and sent them to D. The whole clan was out here watching me, because after the howl and then a lot more howls and then the coyotes, everything seemed like it was coming towards me from the no-no woods. So I decided it was time for me to give them their space. And that's what I did. I went out for about 15 minutes. I went out into my lawn and left the camera running. I'm finding myself not wanting to walk in where the trees are closer. I want to be standing out here in this open spot for right this moment for some reason. I don't have the chills, and I don't feel threatened, and I'm not scared. But I just feel that maybe I shouldn't be where I can be reached out and grabbed, which is only going to cause me to go in there just like Dee. She's all scared, and then I want out of here, and then she walks right towards it. Same thing I'm going to do right now. Dump. Those are bigger. See those two right there? Those are bigger around and heavier, I want to say, than what's normally leaned up in here. And I see another one right there that seems to be new and bigger. So I don't know if the babies are actually getting bigger, or they're letting juveniles in here instead of just the tiny ones, now that I've seen these things. All these trees, they're everywhere. They're just leaned everywhere. They're definitely bigger this week, though. I don't know. Also, I want to extrapolate. That one's broken right there. It barely leaned against that tree right there. Just enough to make it stay there. Weird. I want to know if the Bigfoot, if as a clan, they just bag ass and going to leave here for the winter and come back next spring. Oh, this rig is not comfortable to hold in my left hand. It's got square corners and stuff. I took the tripod off, and now the phone and the light, I just saw a flash of light right over there. The phone and the light are hooked together. That could have been in my eye. I have my glasses on. I normally don't have my glasses on when I investigate, because light sources from other places can hit your glasses weird, and then you see in your eye and you think you see a flash of light. Kyle! Whoop, whoop, whoop! They keep messing with this right here. Now, from our perspective, that looks like an X, but they're actually 10 feet apart, so I don't think that's supposed to be an X. But right there, they keep adding to and taking away the smaller sticks and adding bigger ones to that right there. I'll have to look in my other video to see if that tall one right there was up against that tree or laying on the ground and they put it up there. But they keep messing with that particular one, because it's the corner. My trail goes off that way. It's the corner of my trail. I don't know if you remember, Dee, but I sent you a video where there was a fawn, little buck fawn, laying right there by that tree. That's the bent tree right there. That's my thing of the woods right here. It's the furthest part of my path, but that's the last September. That was the first thing I noticed. There's another wolf spider right there. And I just watched your video, Dee, where you went down in a different path and ended up getting your light on something that was squatting down on the path ahead of you. I can't say that I wouldn't just freak out and go the other way, or whether I would keep my light directly on it and walk right at it. I'm not sure what I would do. I'm not like you. Obviously, my videos are boring. I know that. They got a bunch of sticks right there, leaned all against the same tree. I don't remember that being all like that either. So they have added a little bit here and bigger stuff, but I don't know what I would do, Dee. I'm not out here for the thrill. I definitely want to see one. Directly, flat out, see one with my eyes. Whether I actually catch it on camera or not. That is my focus. 1, 2, 3. See that structure right there? I made that to see if they would alter it. And they did stick other sticks in the top of that structure, which is kind of cool. I don't feel alone out here at all tonight. The woods feel darker and closer. That's the only thing I can say that I feel for sure. The woods feel darker and closer to me. Like claustrophobic almost. And I'm standing in a spot where I've investigated many times. Usually this tree right here and this tree right here are the few times already that I've hooked the sheet for the projector that I play D on, because I usually watch D as I investigate so that her voice and her cryptids can draw in other things if that's what's happening. This time I want to see if I get any kind of evidence whatsoever, all by myself being out here. If they're curious about me or they like my voice. Kyle! Woo! So far, other than my feelings and a couple of loud wood snaps, nothing super loud like D gets, I have not seen or heard anything. No wood knocks or anything like that. There's a car going by at the moment. I'm not sure what the camera has seen. I'll have to go back and watch, of course. I watch it first and then I publish it. My last one I edited. When Dee was playing out here by herself, I watched that whole thing. It took me 3 times to watch it because I kept falling asleep watching the static, no moving, no talking, no nothing. Trying to listen and trying to look for movement. It was very dry. So if you're watching this one, Dee, don't set the tripod down and walk away, because it is rough to watch unless you actually catch something. If you're going to do that, you're going to realize that you're going to edit most of what you got on your footage. You're just going to edit out because it is rough to watch that. I think initially I loved watching you because you get scared. You do get a lot more noises and a lot more eye shine and everything else, of course, than I get, but I'm hoping that they'll start trusting me more and getting closer to me. They're not going to try to scare me out of the woods like they do you, because they already know that I don't deal well with them being aggressive. I will leave and give them their space if that's what they want. But if they get aggressive, I tend to stand my ground, and you don't do that. Which is maybe why you get a lot more evidence than everybody else does. Everybody else either runs away completely, they don't wait for them to try to push them out, but you're also not aggressive. You also don't live 400 yards in that direction right there. So they kind of know if they're going to get aggressive and start chasing or taking my dogs or any of that, there's going to be repercussions. Throwing rocks at my windows and stuff like that. I'm out here to see them and share the woods with them. I'll give them apples and marshmallows, and I'm not out here hunting them. I've proved that, but if they act aggressive, they know that I'm not going to deal well with that. They gave me wood knots. They definitely messed with my head and made me walk in the wrong direction. Got that video. Tonight I was just the experiment in reverse. The wolf spiders might be after these. That is a silk spider hanging on a thread from way up. Not a silk spider, a silkworm. But the wood spiders might be after the silkworms, I'm not sure. Kyle! Whoop whoop! You know why I'm out here, Kyle. Come on out. And I laugh at myself every time. Here's Silly Ralph. Silly Ralph walking in the woods, talking to something that can't possibly know English, asking them to come out, telling them things that I have apples, and all that other happiness, like they are going to understand what I'm saying. I'm not sure if that's probably, back before the 70s, that would have got me put in what we call hutchings. Around here was Hutchings, but it was a psychiatric hospital. There was Hutchings, and then there was Marcy. And before that, somewhere around in a couple of places in New York, there were poor farms that insane people, or whoever they thought was insane, they just jammed them in there. Moving on, Kyle. Going this way. Come on. I feel warmer and lighter. I do not feel claustrophobic anymore or any of that. Actually waiting this tree right here has a lot of things stuck in it at the bottom. It has been more and more all summer, but very slowly but surely this one tree out of the base is leaning over and falling over. I don't walk under it anymore because it doesn't seem very safe. That tree right there leaned away up into that tree. I'm going to go over here and see if that has roots to it or not, because that will be absolutely the biggest tree leaned so far if there's no roots. I just took my shoe off. Yay, dumbass. Trying to see if it has roots or not. Flipped my shoe off. Alright. I guess I just used my hands. Nope, it's just jammed into the ground right there. That's jammed into the ground and leaned up against that other tree. Perfectly square in the middle of that other tree that's leaned on there like that. That was not done by a small, or what I would have considered doing little sticks like that. And what started out to be tiny sticks has now turned into whole trees. I don't know if Mama does that, Daddy, but ever since last week, now I'm definitely seeing some bigger stuff in here. But this was that tree was not there. You can see, I'll point you right up there. You can see way up there. That tree, wherever it was, that base of that was right there. Snapped off square, jammed in the ground right there. It was right there, and it right there, and now the other one's perfectly against that tree. And it could happen naturally, but I don't think that would be perfectly up there like that. But now I'm seeing little sparkles everywhere. There's tons of those little wood spiders. Kyle! Did you do this? Did you do this right here? That is in the direction of the prevailing wind. But, okay, camera work, dummy. Keep the camera pointed in the direction, at least some direction, not the ground, or sideways. Alright, so, 49 minutes already. So far, no definitive knocks. Kyle! Make a noise! I'm going to have to get one of those cool wood knockers like Dee has. Now, I have shown you this stick before, leaned up in here, but look how big that is now. So some bigger ones, the juveniles, not the baby ones that were in here this spring. They're definitely putting some bigger stuff in here now that I don't recognize. But I do tend to find some more stuff at night because I'm only seeing one thing at a time. Like in my light, I'm concentrating on what I'm seeing in my light. So before I was saying, oh, well, maybe it's leprechauns. They're tiny little sticks leaned against trees, and I don't care if it's leprechauns or dogman, Sasquatch. I don't care who it is or what it is. I want to see what's leaning those sticks against the trees. But it's leaning towards. Now my trail goes that way. But out there, about as far as I can see, you got that little stick right there, and that stick, and way out there, that big. Oh, I just heard another. Kyle! There's a tree out there with a bunch of stuff leaned against it all the way around. But my trail doesn't go in that direction, so I don't normally look there. This right here, in my origin story video, I think, all of these trees are broken off and laid on the ground. That one's not laying down, but most of them, but they all are broken from right there and pushed in different directions. Kyle, did I hear you over here? Or was that just a stick? And then there's this big, that stick right there goes this way and up that tree. And then that stick is leaned, so it makes this big A shape right here. And if you stand right here and look in that A shape where that tree is, right behind that tree is where all of those other trees are pushed from. I don't know if that means anything to them or not, but that was in that video. But out past that now, I noticed a tree with a bunch of sticks leaned against it. I don't normally walk over there. I only do that in the daytime now. I don't like to walk off the path at night, because they did mislead me quite a bit. Messed with my head. Kyle! Woohoo! And this is what I noticed, up until this week, up until right now, I noticed that this was about the size of the leaners that they have been doing. They're 10 feet long, they're 2 and 3 inches at the base. They were just doing a little bit bigger ones like these guys over here. Lots of them, but now all of a sudden there are some really big ones in here comparatively. Nothing like over by the no-no tree. I mean, those things are 18 inches across, and this thing's killing me now. Let's see, I still have 3 bars of light, which means my other light. So this, I have it on medium. That's off. Low. That's high now. Oh, that's high. Low, medium, high. I'll turn it on high now, so it's not going to make a difference. Video's only going to be a little bit longer until I get out of here. Kyle! Whoop whoop! And my flashlight is not blinking orange yet, so it's not down to 25% yet. They tend to somehow mess with these lights. But she uses her lights on high, and then after a period of time, they do protect themselves. The lights do, and they go down dimmer, and you have to click them off and click them back on. They protect, I don't know, I would imagine from heat and battery drain. Kyle, I'm almost to the oak tree. Now in my impromptu video, I heard noises in the woods, which I associate with them. And when I was walking the puppies, I heard noises that I associate with them. And then I came out yelling for Kyle, and I made a whoop, and they made a double. I made a whoop whoop like this, and they made a whoop whoop back to me. And they did it twice in a row, and they were right in here somewhere where I'm standing somewhere. And I was on the way path that I came in on. There's another one of them stupid tacks, and one right here. But I was on the path that I come in on, which is about 150 yards that way. They made a noise from over here, that whoop whoop, but it wasn't very loud. It was just two double whoop whoops. And so I came off the path and I started walking in this direction. Now I thought I was walking out through these woods here, and then took a right and was walking towards the house that's down there. But I was not. They never even let me get to the Jeep path, which is right over there. And then they had me walking that way. Totally misled me. And I'm talking, thinking I'm finding new trees that were leaned, and I'm actually talking about trees that I've put on the video before. I'm very familiar with that part of the woods where the Jeep trail is. They had me walking that way until I just heard another noise. And this is one thing I do that I have told Dee. If you find, especially if you put your flashlight or look or point at something in the woods that doesn't belong, here is 2 little balls and one that looks like an eyeball on the ground. If you are on an investigation and you find a can on the ground, especially if you kick it or anything like that, you better pick it up. They're judging you, just to let you know. They're judging you. You don't pick garbage up. Now, right here, somebody, see that hole, and 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 that hole. Somebody, it looks like somebody was shooting either a 22 or a pellet gun right here. May have been using these balls for a target. If you find trash in the woods on an investigation and you think they're watching you, or they could be watching you, you better pick that up, because they're judging you. They are. Don't think they're not. Now, I want to say that in this part of the woods, that this particular tree, hear movement. I'm hearing walking. There could be a baby up in this tree. I just looked up in this tree talking about it, and now I hear distraction on the other side. So there might be a baby hiding up this tree. Kyle, I won't hurt your babies. I won't. evidence of someone shooting at this tree. Shooting at this tree. Right there. Oh, that scared me. That little knob right there just zipped against my coat. It made a zzz sound and it freaking scared me. Somebody's shooting at that thing. That looks probably BB gun-ish. That's not a 22 hole. I got it, Kyle. Right there. I took it. I took the trash. Is there a baby in the tree? I can't see them. Like I said before, you get close to a juvenile and you stare at them or you shine your light on them, you get distraction right away from someplace else. There's another structure right there. There's one that way and two that way up into that tree, and they're way bigger than the ones that have been here. Don't walk off the path, dummy. They'll have you frickin' walking out in front of a car or something. Because I swear that it felt like I had dementia or something. I could not recognize where I was. I thought I was finding new things, and I was describing things that I've already put on my videos. Hearing talking from that direction. I got to get away from this. Anyway, what I was going to say is I think that this is the grandfather tree or the heart tree of this part of the woods. It's definitely the biggest one around here. So I imagine. I just got something thrown at me over here. So I need to get away from this tree. They're trying to distract me. I'm leaving. I'll leave that tree. Is there a baby in the tree? You got one of your babies up there? Still got leaves on, so I can't see that high. They're not going to show themselves to me. They never do. I caught the eyes and stuff in that video. Only I'm going to have to say that this person is using these. This one has holes through it. They're not 22 caliber. That's BB gun or 177 caliber pellets. But here's more. Here's more of. Point that backwards like D does. Here's more trash in the woods, people. I wouldn't be upset if I don't care that they're shooting in here because I shoot in here myself. I only care because they see this stick leaned up against here. I only care because they leave their trash in the woods. Did a D trick just now and pointed the stick or pointed my flashlight under my arm behind me while I don't know if there's a baby up in that tree or not. Please, people, don't leave trash in the woods. Nothing upsets me more, nothing's more rude than coming into state land and then finding trash everywhere. That's just an asshole move right there. Every time I find it, I don't pull those stupid tacks out because people are actually using them as guides through the woods hunting, and they're legal. But at the end of the season, if you're not going to hunt there anymore, pull them back out. Don't be a douche. Alright, this is an hour and 5 minutes. So I'm just going to mosey down my path and be on my little way, and I got ice cream and Pepsi waiting for me. Kyle! Last chance, buddy! This is stuff that I want to just show you every single time. Look at all of those little sticks. They're all separate sticks. Those aren't, see the ends of them up there? They're all separate sticks. They made like a tiny little baby lean-to right there for them to lay underneath, or whatever the children, what I call this a nursery, whatever the children were learning to do right there. It's wonderful. It's so exciting to me to see, just to see what they do. The big sticks are like, holy cow, there's no way a human could do that. But there's no way a human would do that on purpose. And something with the intelligence to do that just mystifies me. I just love it. But they're definitely meaning some bigger stuff now. Much bigger than they were before. Like that one right there was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that one was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, little, and then a little bigger, but now what I'm seeing is quite large. Stuff that I could, as a human, fully grown male could, but that's not kids in the woods doing that. Unless it's a couple of them. I don't tend to see anything or too much sign in this direction. There's a house over here, maybe 300 yards away back in there, on the other road, on the road that runs in that direction. But because it's white pine, this white fuzzy pine, because it's real thick in there, I mean, the tall men could go over there and lay down. Nobody will ever bother them, not even I go over there, so. And here is, I'm going to have to check my other video. Alright. No footprints. And I started not anatomically correct other than the heads in the front, but I started reconstructing a deer right there. They have not touched that. Other than they added that skull recently. And they added that bone right there. Was right over here, I noticed one day. But they do bring bones here and drop them off, and then after a while 1 or 2 of them will disappear, and then different ones will show up. So I'll keep track of that. And you wouldn't think that coyotes would bother with bones that are so old that there's no marrow in it, and why would they bring a skull, an old skull that obviously doesn't have any nutritional value? Coyotes wouldn't just carry those around. Foxes or whatever, there's no reason for them to waste their energy for that. I miss the days, D, where I just walked through here and there during the day or during the night and simply took pictures and sent you pictures to see if you would find anything to circle. Now I have to walk around in here for an hour with a video running. Then I have to go home and download the video to my computer and then watch it on a bigger screen. Man, beautiful, beautiful moon over there, that bright spot. Can't see it good on the camera, but out through those, that bright there, that's actually my house. So I'm almost to the end here. But yeah, now I'm doing hour or more than an hour long investigations, walking around at night with a freaking flashlight and a phone. Nowhere near as amusing as you are. I do love your videos, D. Rabbit? You Mr. Bunny right there? Hi, Mr. Bunny. Now you would think that if 5 or 6 human size or bigger creatures that were omnivorous were around, that especially with Dogman. Now that rabbit can't tell that I'm a human because I'm shining a light in its face. And there's Dogmen and coyotes and everything, that you would think there would be no rabbits, no squirrels around, and that they would eat everything completely out of existence and then have to move. I'm getting that dark feeling again behind me, where it doesn't, I guess it just doesn't feel like the light is penetrating very far. I can see just fine, but it just has that dark enclosing feeling. I'm getting that again. There's Mr. Bunny. Hey, Bunny Bunny. That's right, you run away. But this is about the end. I'm almost back out here where I can ring the bell and tell Kyle that I'm done for the night. Every time I come in, not every time, because when I came in impromptu, I did not. And they messed with my head pretty bad. And I took a picture and showed this to Dee before, but see this right here? They put that up like that. I think they did that for me. And I tell them every time that I see it and I notice that's very pretty. Thank you for putting that there. Because this is the in part of my path, and right directly right here, the in path that I showed you that we walked on is right there and goes that direction. And sometimes I walk backwards that way around, but usually I walk next to the swamp first and walk that way around so that I don't do anything odd and catch them off guard. I don't want to do any of that. There is dead stuff up there, but look at how intricate right there all of that stuff is. That's new. They on purposely wove those together right there with that stick and that stick. Kyle! Hearing movement. Not just, because I'm hearing a little breeze now, not just a stick falling down onto the ground, but crunch, crunch, crunch walking. And I know there was just a rabbit here. That could have been, what I'm hearing is that rabbit taking 3 or 4 bounds. But anyway, that right there is new. There's 1, 2, 3 sticks holding that stick bent like that now. That wasn't there the last time I walked through. I wouldn't notice it from this side so much, but now you can see that side, how that big stick is actually on purposely holding that other stick over to the side. That didn't fall like that, naturally anyway. I just saw a bright flash out in front of me. I hope the camera just picked that up. And I don't remember that on the way in right there. That right there, that stick, that's much bigger stick than what I'm used to seeing. Them other two sticks I pointed out, the one leaning against, totally against the tree there, and the one leaned off to the side there. But did this one just show up while I was out in the woods? I think that one just showed up. I'm going to have to check the video on the way in to see if you see that. Or maybe I just didn't notice it. But that's brand spanking new. There's no leaves on top of any of the stick that's on the ground. That's brand spanking new. That just happened too. Way bigger than the ones that were there before. Anyway, here's the window of my house. And that's my investigation for tonight. I'll take a few steps out into my lawn and look back to see if I see any eyes. But I'll tell them. All done, Kyle. I'm all done. I usually get right up on top of this little thing here. And then I do this to see if they're watching me as I leave. I don't see any eye shine. I will pan back across once. And I'll say good night, Dee. I usually recap what I found, and I did hear some walking in there, but as you can hear and see up in the top of the trees, there is some wind. So some of the stick breaks and things that I heard are probably sticks dropping, but I did hear footsteps in there several times, and what seemed like them trying to distract me from looking up into the big oak tree. But I had no sightings tonight, no eyes, and I'll have to watch the video back to see if I can see any blob squatches. But you have a wonderful night, and tomorrow night I will watch your live if you go live. Bye-bye for now.